Chapter 1. A Marriage Built on Loyalty. The alarm clock went off at 5:15 a.m., shrill and relentless. I slapped it quiet and rolled out of bed, my body heavy from another late shift the night before. The room was dark, quiet, except for the faint sound of my wife's steady breathing. Emily was curled up on her side, long hair spilling across her pillow. For a moment, I just stood there, staring. She looked peaceful, untouched by the constant grind that defined my days. I didn't wake her. I rarely did. I showered, dressed, and poured coffee into my thermos. Before heading out, I scribbled a quick note on the pad we kept by the fridge. Have a good day. I'll be home late, again. Love you. It had become my ritual, my way of reminding her I still thought about her, even when I was barely home. By the time I got back that evening, the house hummed with activity. Our daughter, Lily, was sitting at the kitchen table with her homework spread everywhere. She was 12 now, bright, curious, always full of energy. "Hey, champ," I said, ruffling her hair as I passed by. "Dad." She grinned, tilting her face up toward me. "You're late again. Mom made spaghetti, but we already ate. Want me to heat some up for you?" I smiled at her. "I'll manage, don't worry about it. Just focus on that math." She groaned dramatically. "Math is evil." From the living room, Emily's voice cut through, sharp but casual. "It wouldn't be evil if you paid attention in class." I looked over my shoulder. Emily was sprawled on the couch with a glass of wine in her hand, her phone lighting up every couple of seconds with notifications. She didn't even glance up when I walked into the room. "Long day?" I asked, loosening my tie. "Same as always," she said, scrolling through her phone. "This house feels like a prison sometimes. Just me and chores all day. I swear, if I don't get some excitement soon, I'll lose my mind." The words stung more than I wanted to admit. I leaned against the doorway, watching her sip her wine. I thought excitement was supposed to come from us, our family, our life. She laughed lightly, almost mocking. "Excitement doesn't come from watching you drag yourself in after 12 hours at work, covered in sweat and exhaustion. Don't get me wrong, you're dependable. But dependable isn't thrilling." Lily looked up from the table, frowning. "Mom, that's mean." Emily waved her hand, brushing it off. "It's not mean, it's honest. Someday you'll understand. Sweetheart. Men like your dad, hardworking, reliable, they're fine. But sometimes a woman needs more. Something different." The way she said different twisted in my gut. I forced a smile for Lily's sake and sat at the table, pulling her math book toward me. "Let's tackle this algebra together, huh? I think your teacher just explains it in a confusing way." While I worked through problems with Lily, my ears stayed attuned to the clinking of Emily's glass and the faint laugh she let out at whatever lit up her phone screen. Later, when Lily went upstairs to get ready for bed, I finally confronted her. "You really had to say that in front of her? That I'm not thrilling enough for you?" Emily stretched her legs out, not looking fazed. "Don't act so sensitive. I was just making conversation. If you were more fun, maybe I wouldn't feel so restless." "Fun?" I echoed, incredulous. "I break my back out there to make sure this house is taken care of, that Lily has everything she needs, that you don't have to lift a finger if you don't want to. And you sit there calling me boring." She smirked, swirling her wine. "You should be grateful, you know. Most men don't get to keep their wives around when they turn into predictable, tired machines. I could have left for something better a long time ago. But here I am, still here. That's loyalty." Her words cut deeper than I wanted to show. I clenched my jaw, biting back the 1,000 retorts burning on my tongue. Instead, I grabbed a plate and quietly served myself some cold spaghetti. As I sat at the table, she spoke again, her voice casual but laced with something smug. "Don't get me wrong, I appreciate what you do. But don't fool yourself into thinking working late every night makes you some kind of hero. You're missing life, and you're dragging me with you." I stare at the fork in my hand. She doesn't see it. She doesn't see what I sacrifice for us. Upstairs, Lily's footsteps thudded softly as she moved around her room. I focused on that sound, on the reminder that not everything in this house was cracked. She loved me, and I loved her. That was unshakable. But Emily, something in her was slipping away. After dinner, I climbed the stairs and peeked into Lily's room. She was curled up in bed, her lamp casting a warm glow over the pages of a book. "You okay, sweetheart?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe. She looked up, hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I just don't like when Mom talks like that. You work hard. I know it. She should too. My throat tightened, but I forced a smile. Hey, don't worry about grown-up stuff, okay? You just focus on being a kid. I'll handle the rest. Okay, Dad, she whispered, then added softly, I love you. I stepped in, kissed her forehead, and pulled the blanket up around her shoulders. I love you too, Lily. More than anything. When I went back downstairs, Emily had already poured herself another glass of wine. She was laughing at something on her phone, a laugh that wasn't meant for me. I sat in the recliner across the room, the television flickering without sound. For a while, we just existed in the same space, me staring at the blank TV screen, her smiling at a glowing rectangle in her hand. The silence between us said more than words ever could. My chest ached with a truth I didn't want to face. The woman I married, the woman I built a life with, was no longer standing beside me. She was slipping through my fingers, and I didn't know how to stop it. But I told myself one thing. I'll hold on. I'll fight for this family. I worked too hard to lose it now. And yet, somewhere deep inside, I already knew the cracks had begun. Chapter 2. Strange behaviors begin. The first time I noticed it, I brushed it off. It was a Tuesday night, nothing unusual. I came home later than usual, my boots heavy with dust from another long day. Emily was in the kitchen, but instead of stirring a pot or setting the table, she was leaning against the counter, phone tilted just enough so I couldn't see the screen. Her thumb moved quick, tapping out a message. When she heard me walk in, she jumped, then plastered on a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Oh, hey, she said, sliding the phone face down on the counter. You're home early. Early? I checked my watch. It was nearly 8. This is early to you? She laughed lightly, brushing past me to grab plates from the cabinet. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting you yet. Dinner's, well, it's a little late. I lost track of time. Her explanation was smooth enough. Normal even, but my gut twisted in a way I couldn't explain. At dinner, she kept glancing at the phone on the counter, screen lighting up every few minutes. She didn't touch it, though. Not while I was watching. Lily noticed, too. Mom, your phone's glowing like a Christmas tree, she said through a mouthful of pasta. Emily forced a laugh and reached over to flip it face down again. Just group chat stuff. Nothing important. But the way she avoided my eyes told me otherwise. Over the next week, the phone thing became a pattern. Late at night, I'd roll over in bed to find her scrolling, screen lighting up her face. When I stirred, she'd tilt it away, pretend she was just reading an article. One night, half asleep, I caught a glimpse. A name flashed across the top of the screen before she swiped it away. Mark. Who's Mark? I asked, my voice thick with sleep. She stiffened, then relaxed too quickly. A co-worker. He's been asking about some project. Don't worry about it. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. She had friends, co-workers, people she talked to. I had no right to police every name on her phone. So I swallowed the unease and rolled back over. Don't be paranoid, I told myself. She wouldn't do that to me. Not Emily. The second shift came with the girls' nights. I'm heading out with the girls tonight, she said one Friday, slipping into a black dress that hugged her curves in ways I hadn't seen her care about in months. She spritzed perfume at her neck, the same one she wore on our anniversary dinners. I blinked at her, sitting on the edge of the bed with my boots still unlaced. Girls' night? Since when do you and your friends do that? She turned to the mirror, applying lipstick with steady precision. Since now. We all decided we need a break from the boring routine. Don't wait up. Her tone was light, almost dismissive, as if this was perfectly normal. Who's all going? I asked, lacing my boots slowly. She glanced at me in the mirror, then back at her lipstick. You don't know them. Just some of the wives from yoga class. Don't worry. I didn't press. Part of me wanted to, but another part, the tired, worn-down part, told me it wasn't worth the fight. When she left, Lily padded into the living room in her pajamas. Where's Mom going? She asked, climbing onto the couch beside me. She's out with friends, I said, flicking the TV on. Lily tilted her head. She didn't tell me. She always tells me. I kept my eyes on the screen, jaw tight. She'll be back. At work, the comments started. One afternoon, during a quick lunch break, my coworker Jason nudged me with his elbow as we sat on the back of his truck tailgate. "So, your wife's been out a lot lately, huh?" I frowned, unwrapping my sandwich. "What do you mean?" He shrugged, smirking. "Saw her at O'Malley's last weekend. She was with a couple of women, sure. But she wasn't acting like a married woman, if you catch my drift." I stiffened. "What's that supposed to mean?" Jason held up his hands, grinning. "Hey man, I'm just saying, don't let her play you. You work too hard to get blindsided." The words lodged deep, even as I laughed them off. "Yeah, right. Emily's just restless. She needs to blow off steam. Nothing more." But the seed was planted. That night, when I got home, Emily was already dressed again, phone clutched in her hand. "Out again?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. She hesitated just a fraction, then smiled. "Yeah, don't wait up." The lies were subtle, but they stacked up like bricks. One night, she claimed she was at a friend's house watching movies. But when I asked which one, she blinked, then fumbled. Bridesmaids. You know, that one with Melissa McCarthy. Except when Lily borrowed her purse the next morning, she found a receipt from a downtown bar. Another time, she said her phone had died. That's why she didn't answer my calls. But when she came home, the battery was at 60%. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was imagining things. But every little inconsistency gnawed at me until I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling while she turned her back and scrolled silently. "Don't be paranoid," I whispered in my head. She wouldn't do that to me, but my gut told me otherwise. One Saturday, while I was fixing the fence in the backyard, my neighbor leaned over from his side, smirking. "Your wife's been busy, huh?" I squinted against the sun. "Busy how?" He chuckled. "I saw her downtown last week. Let's just say, she looked like she was having more fun than any of us married guys are allowed." I gripped the hammer tighter, heat rising in my chest. "Watch yourself," I snapped. He raised his hands, still smirking. "Hey, no offense. Just saying, man." Eyes open. I finished the fence in silence, every bang of the hammer echoing with frustration I couldn't shake. That night, I sat on the porch alone, nursing a beer. The cicadas buzzed in the humid air, the stars faint above the suburban glow. Emily's laughter drifted faintly from inside the house, muffled through the walls. She was on the phone again. Always the phone. I tilted my head back, exhaling slow. "Don't be paranoid. She wouldn't do that to me. Not after everything. Not after the years I've poured into this family." But even as I told myself those words, I didn't believe them anymore. Chapter 3. The vacation excuse. It started on a Thursday evening, casual as a breeze, like she'd been practicing the line in her head. Emily stood by the kitchen counter, flipping through the mail when she cleared her throat. "So, the girls and I were talking, and we decided we're overdue for a little getaway." I looked up from tightening a loose screw on one of Lily's chairs. "Getaway?" She smiled too quickly. "Yeah, trip. Just a few days. Nothing major. You know, like a girl's trip. We'll head out to Vegas, maybe, or the beach. Somewhere fun. Vegas." The word lodged in my chest. I set the screwdriver down, staring at her. She looked radiant, almost too radiant for a regular Thursday. Hair loose, cheeks slightly flushed. "A girl's trip?" I repeated slowly, as if saying it out loud would make it sound less suspicious. "Since when do you and your friends do trips?" Emily's hands fluttered as she shuffled envelopes. "Since now. We all realized we haven't done anything for ourselves in ages. And honestly," she gave a small laugh, "I need a break. This house, this town, it's suffocating sometimes." Her tone was light, but there was steel underneath it. I swallowed hard. "And when were you planning to tell me?" "I just did," she said with a playful grin, stepping closer. She touched my shoulder lightly, a touch that felt rehearsed. "Come on, don't make that face. It's just a long weekend. You and Lily will be fine here without me. You're always so good at holding everything together." I forced a smile, though my stomach churned. "When exactly?" "Next weekend," she said quickly. "We already checked flights. It's perfect timing. Already checked flights." The phrase burned in my ears. She hadn't asked. She hadn't even tested the waters. She had decided. I rubbed my jaw, staring past her at the half-fixed chair. "You've been busy, huh?" She tilted her head, misinterpreting. "Busy planning fun, yeah." Then, sensing my hesitation, she leaned in and kissed me on the cheek. It was soft, almost tender, different than the mechanical pecks she'd given me lately. Don't worry so much. You're not losing me. Her words were supposed to reassure, but instead they cut. Why say it like that? Losing me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow circles, while Emily scrolled on her phone beside me. She kept her screen dim, angled away. Once I caught her smiling faintly, biting her lip. I rolled over, facing the wall. My thoughts churned. Don't be paranoid. It's just a trip. Women go on girls' weekends all the time. You look controlling if you push back. You work too hard to be that guy, the jealous husband with trust issues. But then another voice cut through. She's been distant. She's been secretive. Now, she suddenly wants Vegas with the girls? Does that even make sense? I squeezed my eyes shut, gripping the blanket tighter. My chest felt heavy, caught between suspicion and loyalty. The following days, she was sweeter than usual. Almost too sweet. She cooked my favorite meals, lasagna on Monday, roast chicken on Wednesday. She draped her arms around my neck when I got home from work, kissed me long and slow, as if trying to remind me of who she used to be. See? I still got it, she teased one night, winking at me after setting down dessert. It felt wrong. Forced. Like guilt dressed up as affection. Lily noticed too. At dinner, she giggled. Mom, why are you being so nice all of a sudden? Emily laughed too loudly. Can't I spoil my family once in a while? I forced a smile, but inside I was crumbling. One evening, as Emily folded laundry, I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. So, this trip? I started carefully. She looked up quickly, then went back to folding. Yeah? What about it? Where exactly are you staying? She paused, just a fraction of a second too long, then shrugged. Some resort. Jenna's handling the details. Jenna. I repeated. She nodded briskly. You don't know her. She's new at yoga. Super fun. She organized the whole thing. I trust her. I pressed my tongue to the inside of my cheek, weighing whether to push further. But then Emily looked at me with that playful smirk, the one that said you're being ridiculous. Don't start, okay? She said lightly. You've got nothing to worry about. If anything, you should enjoy the break. You'll have the house all to yourself. I wanted to argue. I wanted to demand names, numbers, proof. But instead, I nodded. Because the other part of me, the part that hated conflict, the part that wanted to believe, told me to let it go. Saturday morning, suitcase in hand, she was glowing. She wore a sundress I hadn't seen in years. Makeup done just enough to turn heads. You sure you don't want us to drop you off at the airport? I asked, watching her sling her bag over her shoulder. She shook her head quickly. No. The girls are picking me up. Easier that way. Lily hugged her tightly. Bring me back something cool. Emily laughed, crouching to kiss her forehead. Of course, baby. I'll miss you. When she turned to me, her smile softened. She reached up, cupping my face with both hands, eyes lingering on mine longer than usual. I love you, you know that, right? My chest tightened. Yeah, I know. She kissed me, deep, slow, lingering. The kind of kiss she hadn't given me in years. For a second, I almost believed everything was fine. Then she pulled away, grabbed her suitcase, and breezed out the door. I stood there with Lily, the silence of the house pressing in. Dad, Lily whispered, tugging on my sleeve. Why do I feel like Mom doesn't really want to go with the girls? I swallowed hard, staring at the closed door. Because maybe she doesn't. The house felt empty that weekend. Her perfume lingered in the air, clinging to the sheets, the curtains, my skin. I tried to distract myself with chores, fixing the leaky faucet, mowing the lawn, taking Lily out for ice cream. But every quiet moment, every still second, my mind went back to her. I pictured her in a hotel room somewhere, laughing with friends or with someone else. More than once, I picked up my phone, thumb hovering over the tracking app I'd once installed for Lily's safety. I could add Emily's number. I could know where she was in seconds. But each time I stopped. No, don't be that man. Don't be paranoid. You trust her. You have to trust her. I put the phone down, exhaling slowly, my chest tight. Still, the unease never left. Chapter 4. The Affair in the Hotel. The hotel room smelled of perfume, alcohol, and sin. I had been in rooms like this before, expensive suites with crisp white sheets and city lights pouring through the windows, but never had I felt so electric, so alive. Finally, I whispered, pulling Mark by the collar of his shirt, lips brushing his ear. I thought the flight would never end. He chuckled, his hands already on my hips, pulling me closer. Worth the wait, though. Look at you, damn. Emily, you clean up like trouble. I laughed, reckless, tilting my head back. That laugh wasn't the laugh I gave my husband at home, tired and shallow. This was sharper, louder, free. My husband. I smirked, letting the straps of my dress slide down one shoulder as I glanced at the city lights outside. He's probably mowing the lawn right now, while I'm here living life. Mark grinned, shaking his head. Cold. You don't even feel guilty, do you? I rolled my eyes and kicked off my heels, letting them clatter against the polished floor. Guilty? For what? For not spending another night folding laundry and listening to him complain about work? Please. I gave him loyalty for years. What did it get me? Boredom. Predictability. You should be grateful I'm still around at all. Mark laughed, unbuttoning his shirt as he followed me toward the bed. Damn, you're ruthless. Not ruthless, I corrected, tossing my hair over my shoulder with a smirk. Realistic. I sprawled across the king-size bed, fingers tracing the soft comforter. My pulse raced. Here, I wasn't Emily the wife, Emily the mother. I was Emily the woman, desired, wanted alive. Mark climbed over me, his cologne thick in the air. So tell me, he murmured, lips grazing my neck, what does Mr. Dependable think you're doing right now? I grinned wickedly, running my nails across his chest. He probably thinks I'm sipping wine with the girls, gossiping about yoga class. He trusts me too much to imagine this. Mark's laugh was low, satisfied. Poor guy. I smirked, though something sharp flickered inside me at his words. Poor guy. My husband's face flashed briefly in my mind, tired, lined, worn from work. But I shoved it away, tilting my chin defiantly. He'll survive, I said, voice hardening. Men like him always do. They're built to work, to sacrifice, to hold everything up while women like me find ways to feel alive. Mark pulled me closer, and soon the room was filled with heat and laughter. My heart pounded, my skin burned with adrenaline. Every moment felt like rebellion, every touch a secret triumph. You like this, don't you? Mark teased between kisses, his tone cocky. Sneaking away, lying to him. God, yes, I admitted breathlessly. The thrill of it, it's addictive. Do you know how dull it is, night after night, watching him eat reheated leftovers, listening to the same tired stories about work? I arched my back, running my fingers through Mark's hair. This is what I deserve. You deserve fun, Mark agreed, grinning against my skin. Not some guy who spends his life in a hard hat. That hit harder than I expected, but I laughed anyway, forcing it out. Exactly. I've been a good wife for too long. Now I get to be me. The city outside glowed brighter as the night deepened, neon reflecting off the glass. I felt untouchable, immortal. Every second away from home felt like stolen freedom, and I reveled in it. Mark poured us champagne from the minibar, handing me a glass. To freedom, he toasted. To freedom, I echoed, clinking my glass against his before downing the bubbly sweetness in one gulp. We tumbled back into the sheets, tangled in laughter, mouths and hands exploring. For a fleeting moment, I thought of Lily, her innocent eyes, the way she looked at me when she asked where I was going. A pang of guilt pricked my chest, but I drowned it with another kiss from Mark. She'll understand someday, I muttered, half to myself. Mark raised a brow. Ooh, nothing, I said quickly, pulling him back down. Forget it. The minutes blurred into hours, bodies moving. The hotel room filled with muffled sounds of pleasure and reckless abandon. This is the real you, Mark whispered against my skin. Maybe it is, I replied, my voice low, defiant. But then something shifted. At first it was subtle. A dizziness washed over me, lightheadedness that I tried to ignore. My breath came shorter, my chest tighter. Mark, I whispered, my voice breaking. He looked down at me, confused. What's wrong? The room spun, the neon lights outside the window blurring into streaks of color. My champagne glass slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. I can't. My words tangled, slurring. My body felt heavy, foreign, like it no longer belonged to me. Emily, Mark's voice sharpened with panic. Hey, stay with me. But I couldn't. My vision narrowed, black creeping in from the edges. My limbs wouldn't move. My chest heaved, but air refused to come. One last thought pierced the haze before everything went dark. My husband, he has no idea. And then nothing. Chapter 5. Hospital Awakening. I woke to silence. Not the silence of a quiet room, but a heavy, unnatural kind, the kind that presses down on you, suffocates you, makes you wonder if you're still alive at all. My eyelids felt like sandbags. When I finally forced them open, harsh white light stabbed into me. A ceiling swam above, sterile and unfamiliar. I tried to turn my head, but my body didn't respond. Panic struck. I tried to lift my arm, to flex my fingers, but nothing moved. My chest rose and fell, shallow, mechanical. My throat was dry, lips cracked, but no sound came out. Where am I? What happened? Machines beeped softly around me. I caught the faint hiss of something. Oxygen, maybe. The smell was unmistakable. Antiseptic, sharp, like rubbing alcohol mixed with fear. My mind scrambled. Last thing I remembered, Vegas. The hotel. Mark's face hovering over me, eyes wide with panic. My body giving out, darkness swallowing me whole. Now this. Am I dead? No. I was alive. Barely. A sound broke the suffocating quiet. The squeak of shoes against linoleum. The door creaked open. Mom. My heart lurched. Lily. Her voice was small, trembling, but achingly familiar. She stepped into view, her eyes red and swollen, cheeks streaked from crying. My little girl. She carried all of 12 years in her thin shoulders, but right now she looked older, aged by grief, by something she shouldn't have had to face. Mom, it's me, she whispered, pulling a chair close to my bed. Her hands shook as she reached for mine. She clasped my limp fingers, holding them tight, as if she could squeeze life back into me. Tears blur my vision. I try to squeeze back, try to move even a finger, but nothing happened. I was so scared, Lily choked out. Her voice cracked. They said you might not wake up. But you did. You did, Mom. I wanted to say her name, to tell her I was here, that I loved her, but my throat refused. My lips barely twitched. Her small fingers traced over my hand, trembling. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just blink, okay? Blink once. Summoning everything I had, I forced one slow blink. Her eyes widened, fresh tears spilling. Oh, thank God. You can hear me. Relief mixed with agony in her expression. She wiped her cheeks quickly, like she didn't want me to see her break. Mom, you're in the hospital. Something happened. You collapsed. They said. Her words faltered, tangled in fear. I blinked again, desperate. Tell me. Please tell me. They said you're paralyzed. The words ripped out of her, jagged. You can't move, Mom. They don't know if it's permanent. Her voice cracked, and the dam broke. She dropped her forehead against our joined hands, sobbing. My chest constricted, not from the machines, not from the paralysis, but from the raw pain in her voice. Paralyzed? The word echoed, hollow. I wanted to scream, to shake my head, to say this couldn't be true. Me, trapped inside a body that betrayed me? No, it couldn't be real. My mind raced back to that hotel room. Mark's grin, champagne bubbles, neon lights, my laughter that wasn't mine. The words I'd spat about my husband, cold, cocky, cruel. He's probably mowing the lawn right now, while I'm here living life. Now look at me, broken, helpless. And my daughter, the one person who still looked at me with pure love, was crying over the shell of me left behind. Lily lifted her head, her tears soaking the hospital sheet. She tried to smile through the pain, but it quivered, collapsing at the edges. You scare me so bad, Mom, she whispered. When the doctors called me in, I thought I lost you. I blinked hard once, then again. I'm here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, but the words stayed locked in my skull, screaming with no way out. I don't know how to do this, she said, her voice breaking. You're supposed to take care of me, not the other way around. Her words shredded me. She was right. I was supposed to be the mother, the protector, Instead, here she was holding me together when I had nothing left. Inside, guilt clawed at me. Images flashed unbidden. The hotel room, Mark's lips, my smug laughter, my betrayal. My husband's tired eyes when I left, the way Lily had asked, "Why do I feel like Mom doesn't really want to go with the girls?" She had known. She had felt it. Children always do. And now she sat here, crying over me, and she didn't even know the truth. The machines beeped steadily, indifferent to my torment. Lily wiped her cheeks again, sniffing hard. She leaned closer, whispering, "It's going to be okay. I'll be here for you. Dad will." She cut herself off suddenly, biting her lip so hard I thought it might bleed. My heart stopped. Panic flared in my chest. What about Dad? What happened? I blinked rapidly, desperate, frantic. Tell me now. But Lily just squeezed my hand tighter, shaking her head. Not yet. You need to rest. The doctor said not to upset you. Her eyes welled again, and she leaned down to kiss my forehead. I'll tell you, Mom. I promise. Just not yet. I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand answers. But all I could do was blink, trapped inside my own skin. Inside, the guilt swelled until it drowned me. Every reckless choice, every cocky word, every betrayal, I was choking on them now. My daughter's tears, her trembling hands, her broken little voice, this was the price. And I wasn't sure I could bear it. Chapter 6. The Daughter's Revelation. The hours crawled. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, only blink, listen, and drown in the storm of my own thoughts. Every beep of the monitor became a hammer, pounding the truth deeper into me. I was trapped, and beneath that truth, one question gnawed relentlessly. What happened to him? Lily sat in the chair beside me, her small hands clutching mine as if she were afraid I'd slip away again. She'd cried until her face was blotchy, then forced herself into silence, staring at the floor like she carried a weight too heavy for a child to bear. I wanted to ask. I wanted to demand. But my lips wouldn't part. My tongue wouldn't move. All I could do was blink over and over, trying to signal her. Mom, she whispered, breaking the silence at last. Her voice was hoarse, worn thin from crying. I know you want to know. I can see it. You keep looking at me like you're begging for answers. I blinked slowly once. Yes, please. Her chin trembled. She squeezed my hand tighter, biting her lip so hard the skin went white. I didn't want to tell you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The doctors said it might be too much, but I can't keep it in anymore. I can't. My pulse thundered in my ears. Tell me. Just say it. Say what happened to him. Lily took a shaky breath. Her eyes brimmed again, and this time she didn't bother wiping the tears away. Dad, her voice cracked. She pressed her free hand to her mouth, like maybe if she covered it, the words wouldn't escape. But they did. Dad's gone. The world stopped. It was as if the room tilted sideways, all air sucked from it. The machines kept beeping, indifferent to the shattering of my world, but inside me, silence. Nothing but silence, and an impossible truth I couldn't accept. Gone? No, not him. Not the man who worked 12-hour days, who fixed the roof when it leaked, who never once forgot to check the oil in my car. Not the man who kissed Lily's forehead every night and told her she was his whole world. Gone? Lily broke into sobs, clutching my limp hand as if it were the only thing tethering her. He's gone, Mom. While you were gone, everything fell apart. He found out. My chest clenched. I shot through my veins. Found out. She buried her face into my arm, her words muffled but sharp enough to cut me open. He found out about you, about what you were doing. Somebody sent him pictures, him with you, in that hotel. My heart stuttered. My stomach twisted while rising. No one wanted to tell me, but I overheard Dad on the phone. She hiccuped through her crying. He said he knew, Mom. He knew you lied. He knew you weren't with the girls. Her sobs shook her small body. He sounded so broken. I've never heard him sound like that. The room swam. My vision blurred with tears I couldn't even wipe away. He knew, and I wasn't there. I left him with nothing but lies. Lily's words came like hammer blows. That night, he collapsed, right in the kitchen. I found him, Mom. I found him lying there, clutching his chest, gasping. I called 911, but She couldn't finish. The words dissolved into a scream of grief. Each sound from her was a knife. "He had a heart attack, Mom," she finally forced out, shaking uncontrollably. "The doctors tried, but they couldn't save him. He's gone. Dad's gone because of you." The world inside me shattered. The guilt that had been gnawing at me now consumed me whole. My mind replayed it. Me in that hotel bed, laughing, smug, saying he was probably mowing the lawn. Meanwhile, the man I mocked was lying on the kitchen floor, dying, alone, betrayed, heartbroken in more ways than one. I blinked furiously, tears spilling down my temples. But there was no release, no scream to match the torment. I was a prisoner in my own body, forced to hear my daughter say the words I deserved. "Mom," Lily's voice softened, but the hurt didn't. She looked at me through red, swollen eyes. Her face twisted with anger and sorrow all at once. "You destroyed him." The words hung in the sterile air like a death sentence. She squeezed my hand hard, but this time not with comfort, almost with desperation, with rage. "He loved you. He gave you everything. He worked himself to the bone for this family. And you," her voice broke. She sobbed again, shaking her head. "You broke him." My insides writhed. Guilt, regret, self-hatred, it all collapsed on me, crushing, suffocating. I wanted to tell her she was right. I wanted to beg her forgiveness. But all I could do was blink, uselessly, as she wept beside me. Her words echoed. "You destroyed him." And deep down, I knew she was right. I had. Chapter 7. Flashbacks and Regret. The hospital ceiling was the same every morning, white, empty, and blinding. I stared at it until my eyes blurred, the harsh light burning into me, because there was nothing else I could do. Trapped. That was the word that fit best. Trapped in my body, trapped in my mind, trapped in the mess I had created. And every time I closed my eyes, the memories came back. Not gently, not like warm nostalgia, but like knives, sharp and merciless. The first memory hit me in fragments. I saw him, my husband, coming through the front door, shoulders slumped, steel-toe boots caked in dirt, shirt soaked through with sweat. He was bone-tired. I could see it, but he still smiled when Lily ran up to him. He scooped her into his arms like she weighed nothing, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "How's my princess?" Even after 12 hours under the sun, he had time for her. Time for me. Why wasn't that enough for me? The scene blurred into another. He was fixing the leaky faucet under the sink, muttering curses under his breath, water splashing his face. I'd stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, rolling my eyes at his clumsy effort. "You know," I'd said, smirking, "real men just call a plumber instead of pretending they're handymen." He looked up at me with a crooked grin, water dripping from his chin. "Well, this pretend handyman just saved us $100. Dinner on me." I had laughed. I hadn't meant it cruelly then, but now the words tasted bitter, rotten. The memories shifted. Now I was back in the hotel room. The bed sheets tangled. The smell of cologne that wasn't his. Laughter that wasn't love, just noise, careless and cheap. "Your husband?" the man had asked me, his lips grazing my neck. And I had laughed. God help me, I had laughed. He's probably mowing the lawn right now, while I'm here living life. Those words replayed in my head like poison. Living life? No, I was killing it. Killing everything that had been good, solid, faithful. And for what? For a thrill that now made me sick. My stomach turned as if it remembered too. What had once felt like fire and excitement now rotted inside me, a disease eating at my soul. "Mom!" Lily's voice yanked me back. She stood at my bedside again, her backpack still slung over one shoulder, her hair pulled into a messy ponytail. She looked so tired, too grown for her age. I blinked at her, my only way of saying hello. She set the backpack down and sat heavily in the chair. "I almost didn't come today." Her tone was sharp. I flinched inside, but of course she couldn't see it. "I hate being here," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I hate looking at you and knowing what you did. But you're still my mom." Tears welled in her eyes. She clenched her fists, then unclenched them like she was fighting with herself. I keep remembering how Dad used to tell me, "Your mom's the most beautiful woman in the world." I'm the luckiest man alive. My chest caved in at those words. He had said that. Many times. Too many times for me to ever doubt his love. And now I can't stop thinking. He said all that while you were lying to him. While you were sneaking around. Her lip trembled. Do you know what that does to me, Mom? To know my dad died loving you, and you didn't love him back? If I could have screamed, I would have. If I could have begged, I would have fallen to my knees. Instead, I blinked furiously, tears slipping from the corners of my eyes, soaking the pillow. I remember the night it happened, Lily whispered. Her voice was so quiet it felt like a knife slicing through the sterile air. I found him on the floor. He couldn't breathe. He just kept saying your name, over and over. My whole body seemed to collapse inward. He loved you until his last breath, she choked. And you were in some hotel bed with another man. Her words scorched me. I wanted to go back. To every choice, every smirk, every night, I told him I was with the girls. I wanted to slap the phone out of my own hand, tear up the lies before they left my mouth. Instead, all I had are memories. Another flashback cut through. A rainy afternoon. We were broke, God, we were so broke. The car needed repairs, rent was late, and I was crying at the kitchen table, convinced the world was ending. He had taken my hands, kissed them, and said, "We'll get through this. I'll pick up extra shifts. You just hold the family together, okay? That's all I need from you." And I had believed him, because he always came through. That's who he was. A man who gave until he had nothing left, and then gave more. And I had repaid him with betrayal. Do you regret it? Lily's question snapped me back. Her eyes were swollen, searching, desperate. I blinked once. Hard. Tears fell again. She let out a broken laugh. Of course you do. What kind of person wouldn't? She shook her head. But regret doesn't bring him back. Regret doesn't erase what you did. She stood up suddenly, pacing the room. Her voice rose, trembling with rage and grief. Do you know what it's like to bury your dad while your mom is in the hospital because of some stupid affair? Do you know how humiliating it is? Everyone looked at me with pity, like that poor girl's parents. What a mess. Her chest heaved as she turned back to me. You ruined everything, Mom. Not just for Dad. For me, too. I blinked again, tears streaming. I know. I destroyed us all. She grabbed her backpack, swinging it over her shoulder. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Sometimes I wish he never loved you so much. Then maybe losing you wouldn't have killed him." The words pierced deeper than any knife. She turned and walked out, leaving me with the machines, the ceiling, and the crushing weight of my own memories. The hospital hummed, indifferent to my suffering. Nurses passed by, voices echoing in the hallway. Life went on outside these walls, but inside me, everything was dead. I closed my eyes, letting the memories drag me down again. His laugh, his touch, his love, my lies, my betrayal, my sin. Every flashback was a punishment. Every regret another chain around my soul. And I couldn't escape. I was trapped, with nothing left but the truth of what I had done. Chapter 8. The Husband's Truth. The air in the hospital room was heavy, thicker than it had ever been. Machines hummed beside me, their steady rhythm the only thing keeping me tethered to the world. But it wasn't the beeping that kept me awake. It was Lily's silence. She sat in the chair, her knees pulled up, her arms wrapped tightly around them. She hadn't spoken in almost 10 minutes, which for her was an eternity. I could see her jaw working, her teeth clenching, as if she were holding back something too sharp to say. Finally, she turned to me, her eyes red-rimmed and wet. "You want to know the truth, Mom?" I blinked, slow and deliberate. My only answer. Her breath shook as she let it out. "You don't even know what really happened to him. You only know the ending, but you don't know the truth. What killed him wasn't just the stress. It wasn't just bad luck. It was you." The words knifed through me. I wanted to scream at her, beg her to stop, but all I could do was lie there, staring at the ceiling while she peeled back the last pieces of my husband's dignity, the man I had destroyed. She leaned forward, her voice trembling but fierce. "He found out, Mom. He knew." The room tilted. My body, though frozen, felt like it was falling through the bed, through the floor, through the earth itself. "How?" The words screamed in my mind. "How?" Lily pressed her palms together tightly, as though trying to crush the memory out of existence. It was the night before everything happened. He came home early. You didn't even notice. You were in the shower, humming, smiling like some teenager in love. And your damn phone, was right there on the nightstand, lit up with a message from him. Her lip quivered. I saw it. He saw it. We both did. I could see it now. Him standing there, calloused hands trembling as he picked up my phone. His heart racing as he read the words that weren't meant for him. The betrayal in black and white. Lily's voice cracked. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the screen like it had stabbed him. I tried to talk to him, but he just kept whispering, why? Why would she do this to me? Tears rolled down her face. She scrubbed them away angrily. Do you know what it's like to see your dad, the strongest man you've ever known, break down like a child? To hear him sob for the first time in your life? It was like watching a mountain crumble. The image burned into me. My husband, the man who carried the weight of our world, crumbling in silence. Alone. Lily's voice hardened. He didn't sleep that night. He just kept pacing. At one point, he went into the garage. I thought he might. She stopped, swallowing hard. I thought he might end it right there. Her shoulders shook, but he didn't. Instead, he grabbed his keys and left. The memory she painted grew darker. I could see it, the headlights cutting through the night, his face set in that grim determination he wore when he was about to do something reckless. He drove to that hotel, Lily whispered. The one you told us you were vacationing at. He knew. Somehow, he knew exactly where you were. My chest tightened. I wanted to claw at the sheets in my own skin. Lily's voice grew sharper, each word a dagger. He went up to the front desk, demanded your room number. They refused, of course, but he made such a scene, Mom. He was shouting, shaking, begging them to tell him. People stared at him like he was crazy, like he was pathetic. She bit her lip so hard it bled. That's what killed me. Seeing him, my dad, the man who never begged for anything, reduced to that. All because of you. Her hands trembled as she went on. He stormed outside, pacing, yelling to himself. He called someone. I think it was the guy. You're a fair partner. Because I heard him scream into the phone. Be a man and face me. The blood in my veins turned to ice. They met outside the hotel. Lily said, her voice barely a whisper now. I don't know everything that happened, but someone saw it. Someone told me later. Dad shoved him. The guy laughed. Laugh, Mom. Right in his face. He said something like, she doesn't want you anymore. Lily's voice cracked, and she covered her mouth, trying not to sob. I could see it all too clearly. My husband's fists clenched, his heart hammering, the humiliation crashing over him like a storm. He collapsed right there. She whispered, her words trembling. 1 minute he was shouting, the next he was on the pavement, clutching his chest. The ambulance came, but it was too late. The machines beside me hummed on, steady and merciless. My daughter's words hung in the air like smoke, suffocating me. He died in front of the man you betrayed him with. Alone, broken. Tears streamed from my eyes, soaking the pillow, but they felt useless, too late, pathetic compared to the wreckage I'd caused. Lily stood abruptly, pacing again, her hands pulling at her hair. Do you understand now, Mom? Do you get it? He didn't just have a heart attack. He died because of you. Because you crushed him. Because you made him believe he wasn't enough. She whirled toward me, her face twisted with grief and fury. He gave you everything, and you repaid him by killing him. Not with a knife, not with poison, but with betrayal. And that's worse. I blinked frantically, trying to say no, I didn't mean I never wanted, but the words couldn't come. My body wouldn't obey. Lily's eyes filled with fresh tears. Her voice softened, breaking. You should have seen him in those last moments, Mom. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even cursing you. He just kept saying your name. Like even then, he loved you more than himself. The sob finally broke from her chest, raw and aching. She grabbed her backpack and staggered toward the door. She paused in the doorway, her back to me. Her voice, when it came, was almost a whisper, but cut deeper than anything else. Dad died with dignity stripped from him, and you're going to live with that truth. Forever. And then she was gone, leaving me alone with the weight of my husband's shattered love, my daughter's broken heart, and the silence of a life I had destroyed. Chapter 9. The Final Confrontation. The hospital room felt colder that day. The blinds were half open, letting in thin strips of gray light that cut across my motionless body. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant, but beneath it lingered something heavier, something unspoken, waiting. Lily walked in slowly, clutching a crumpled tissue in one hand and her phone in the other. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She set the phone down on a nightstand with deliberate care, then pulled the chair closer to my bed. For a long time, she just sat there, silent. I could hear her uneven breathing, see the way her chest rose and fell with barely contained emotion. She stared at me, her lips trembling, as if debating whether to speak at all. Finally, she whispered, "Mom, I can't hold it in anymore." My heart thundered inside my chest. My eyes darted, pleading, but my body stayed still. Her voice grew sharper. "Do you know what it's like to carry around the truth and watch you lying here, acting like you're the victim?" Tears welled in her eyes. She slammed her fist against the chair arm. "You're not the victim, Mom. Dad was." The words sliced through me. I wanted to cry out, to tell her I knew, that I hated myself more than she could ever imagine, but my throat, my tongue, my lips refused me. Lily's voice cracked as she continued. "Do you want to know how he really died? Not the sanitized version the doctors told you. Not the little half-truths I've been feeding you." Her breathing quickened harsh. "Fine, I'll tell you everything." She leaned forward, her eyes boring into mine. "Dad didn't just collapse out of nowhere. He didn't just have a heart attack in his sleep. He died because of you. Because he loved you so much it broke him." Hot tears slid down my temples. I blinked furiously, desperate for her to stop, but she only grew more relentless. "He found out about you and that guy. He saw the messages, the pictures. He knew you weren't on some girl's trip. He knew exactly where you were." Her voice dropped lower, trembling. "And do you know what he did, Mom? He drove there. He wanted to confront you. He wanted to fight for you. For us." She shook her head violently, tears spilling. "But when he got there, he didn't find you. He found him. That piece of garbage you threw your life away for." I tried to scream. My lips parted slightly, but only a strangled hiss escaped. Lily's eyes widened at the sound, then hardened. Don't you dare try to act like you're sorry now." Her words poured out like knives. "He begged the man. Do you understand? Begged. Dad, the man who worked himself into the ground for us, who never asked anyone for anything. He begged him to walk away, to let you go, to let's try to fix things." My chest ached as though it were caving in. But that guy laughed. Lily's hands clenched in her lap, knuckles white. He looked Dad right in the face and said, "She doesn't want you anymore. She's mine." Her voice broke into a sob, and Dad just crumbled. He collapsed in the middle of the parking lot, clutching his chest, while strangers stood around staring. She slapped her chest, sobbing harder now. "He died right there, Mom, on the pavement, alone, and you weren't there to hold him. You weren't there to comfort him. He called your name with his last breath, and you were in a hotel bed with someone else." I thrashed inside my mind, screaming silently. "Stop! Stop! Please stop!" But there was no stopping her. The dam had broken. Lily stood up suddenly, pacing the room like a caged animal. Her sobs echoed off the sterile walls. "Do you know what it was like, Mom? To see him like that? To hear his voice shake when he said your name? To watch him die knowing the one person he loved most had betrayed him?" She turned, her eyes blazing with grief and fury. "It destroyed me. It destroyed us. And now you're lying here, trapped, and you think that's punishment?" I blinked rapidly, tears streaming. My chest heaved with every broken inhale. No, her voice was steel now. "Your punishment is knowing. It's living every day in this bed, remembering what you did, remembering how he looked at you with nothing but love, even after you tore him apart." She stepped closer, her face inches from mine. Her words dripped venom. "You killed him, Mom. Not with your hands. With your betrayal. With your selfishness. With every secret text and every lie." Her body shook with sobs, but she pressed on, relentless. "And you know what's worse? He still loved you. Even when he knew. Even when his heart was failing, he still called your name." Her tears fell onto the blanket covering my still body. I wanted to reach out, to hold her, to beg forgiveness. But all I could do was blink and cry, silently, as her pain burned through the room. Suddenly, she grabbed the phone from the nightstand. Her hands trembled as she unlocked it, swiping to a video. "Do you want to see what I see every night when I close my eyes?" She spat, her voice raw. She held the screen up in front of my face. Grainy footage played, surveillance from the hotel parking lot. My husband on the ground, people rushing, the affair partner standing off to the side, arms crossed, smirking. Lily's sobs tore through her chest as she screamed. "That's the last image of Dad I have burned into my brain. That's what you left me with." The phone slipped from her hands and clattered to the floor. She collapsed into the chair, burying her face in her hands, her cries muffled but agonizing. I blinked and blinked, sobbing silently, my body stiff as stone while inside I shattered 1,000 times over. Minutes passed, or maybe hours, I couldn't tell. Lily finally lifted her head, her face streaked with tears, her voice hoarse. She looked at me with eyes that no longer carried just grief, but finality. "I loved you, Mom. I really did. But I can't look at you the same anymore. Every time I see your face, I see his. I see the way he died. And I can't forgive you." Her words landed like a hammer, crushing whatever fragments of me still remained. She stood, grabbing her backpack, slinging it over her shoulder. Her back turned to me, her voice quiet but deadly. "This is your forever now. Lying in that bed, unable to move, forced to remember what you did. And I hope every second of it burns." The door clicked shut behind her, leaving me in the sterile silence, trapped in my own body, my husband's last breath echoing in my mind, my daughter's final words seared into my soul. Chapter 10. The closing lesson. The days bled together in the hospital. Morning and night were indistinguishable. The steady hum of machines and the faint antiseptic smell replaced any sense of time. Nurses came and went, adjusting for bags, checking vitals, offering polite smiles that never touched their eyes. To them, I was just another patient, another body in a bed. But to my daughter, I was something else entirely. A reminder, a scar she couldn't look at without reopening the wound. Lily still visited, but less often now. At first, she came daily, sometimes twice a day, sitting with me in silence, sometimes crying, sometimes screaming her rage. But as weeks passed, her visits grew shorter, her tone colder. The warmth in her eyes, the light of a daughter who once adored her mother, dimmed every time she looked at me. One afternoon, the door creaked open and Lily stepped in. She didn't bring flowers this time. No books, no little snacks she sometimes left by the bed. Just herself. She stood near the window, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the blinds instead of me. For a long time, she said nothing. I blinked, trying to catch her attention, but she didn't look my way. Finally, she whispered, "Do you know what I hate most about all this, Mom?" Her voice was calm, but beneath it was a current of rage. She turned slowly, eyes narrowing as they locked onto mine. "That Dad spent his whole life proving love was real. And you spent one weekend proving it was worthless." Her words were daggers, precise and deliberate. "I used to look up to you. I thought you were strong, wise, someone I wanted to be like." She shook her head, a bitter laugh escaping. "Now I see you for what you really are. Weak, selfish, and trapped in your own choices." Tears welled in my eyes. I wanted to scream, to beg her not to say these things, to promise her I'd change if given another chance. But my body remained my prison, and my silence was an admission of guilt. Lily moved closer, her face tightening. "You know what Dad's legacy is? Loyalty, sacrifice. Every memory I have of him is of a man who worked until his hands bled, who showed up for every school play, every late-night fever, every moment that mattered. He never once put himself first. Not once." Her voice trembled, but she didn't falter. "And you? You threw it away. You chose cheap thrills over a lifetime of devotion. You traded a man who would have died for you, which he did, for someone who wouldn't even care if you lived or died." Her chest rose and fell sharply as she leaned over the bed, her eyes blazing into mine. "Tell me, Mom, was it worth it? Was that one night of freedom worth destroying the only man who ever truly loved you? Her words echoed in the sterile room like thunder. I blinked rapidly, tears sliding down the corners of my face. No answer could come. None would ever suffice. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, Lily straightened, wiping at her cheeks. "I can't keep doing this," she muttered, her voice breaking. "Every time I sit here, I see him. The way he looked at you, even when he was broken. He loved you more than his own life, Mom. And you let him die, thinking he wasn't enough." She grabbed her bag from the chair, slinging it over her shoulder with finality. "I don't hate you, but I don't love you either. Not anymore. You don't get to have my respect. Not after what you did." Her words gutted me deeper than any knife could. She paused at the doorway, her back to me. Her voice softened, but it was colder than any scream. "In chasing your freedom, you destroyed the only man who ever truly loved you." The door clicked shut, and with it, the last fragile thread between us. The room was empty again. Just me, the machines, and the ghost of my husband's memory. His laugh, his steady hands, the way he always smelled faintly of fresh-cut grass and coffee. All of it replayed in my mind like a film I could never rewind far enough to change. I remembered his quiet patience when I was short-tempered, the way he'd rub my shoulders after a long day, how he'd stay awake just to make sure I got home safe from nights out with the girls. He was there, always, and I wasn't. Now, I lay paralyzed not just in body, but in spirit, a prisoner of my own betrayal, unable to undo the choices that had shattered everything. The machines beeped softly, marking time I no longer deserved. Nights were the worst. The darkness pressed heavy, and in it, I heard echoes of him. Sometimes I swore I heard his voice, whispering my name with the same tenderness he used to. Sometimes I thought I saw him in the shadows by the door, hands in his pockets, smiling at me like he always did when I came home late. But it wasn't him. It never would be again. The truth was colder than the hospital air. His loyalty had become my punishment. His love, unshakable even in death, was the mirror that forced me to see my betrayal for what it was. And my daughter, my sweet Lily, was right. I didn't just lose him. I lost her too. The legacy of my husband loomed over me, heavier than the weight of my motionless limbs. He would be remembered as the man who gave everything. I would be remembered as the woman who destroyed it. There was no redemption, no second chance. Only this bed, this silence, and the hollow ache of knowing I had traded eternity for nothing. The monitors hummed. The hallway beyond my door echoed faintly with voices and footsteps. Life continued outside my room, indifferent to the ruin I had made of mine. And somewhere in that indifferent world, my daughter carried his memory forward, carrying him with love and pride, while she carried me only as a cautionary tale. The final truth settled over me like a shroud. In chasing my freedom, I destroyed the only man who ever truly loved me. And that was the lesson I would die with.